This week, we're at Mercury Marine Canada headquarters in Milton, Ontario with Jerry Sims.
He's the training service manager for Mercury Marine Canada. Today, he's going to help us with a few tips on winterizing a Sterndrive engine.
In this service manual here, this engine is a 4.3 turnkey start engine, so it's a carbureted engine.
If you don't have one, they can be ordered from an authorized Mercury dealer. And to make sure you get the correct one, be sure to give them your engine serial number. Under Jerry's direction, we start by warming up the engine. Warming the engine up to operating temperature first thins out the oil for easy removal. It also helps dissolve the moisture and contaminants sitting inside, ensuring you get as much of the dirty stuff out as possible.
But I'm going to start by taking the flame arrestor off, and this is similar to the air breather in your car. This needs to be cleaned annually.
Next up, remove the filter with a wrench and be sure to check the sealing gasket stayed with the filter.
Now that that's off, I'm going to actually pull the rest of the oil out of the engine.
The fastest way to drain the engine oil is to suck it out the dipstick. You can fit a vacuum tank rubber hose right over the tube, or you can use the threaded fitting to attach a standard hose. Either method will effectively drain the oil. Changing engine oil at the end of the season in the fall ensures you are not leaving contaminants and residual acids from the combustion process inside the engine all winter.
So once that's done, we're going to pre-fill the oil filter, put oil on the sealing ring, 1/2 to 3/4 of a turn after contact with the gasket. That's it, by hand, no wrench. Look in your manual to find out what the total capacity of the oil of the engine is. And let's just say it's 4 liters, for instance. And I've already pre-filled the filter. So what I'm going to put in is about 3 liters, all right? And then I'm going to start the engine up, make sure we don't have any leaks, and then I'm going to recheck the oil. So the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to change what's called the water separating fuel filter. And what that does is if there's any water in your system, the water is heavier than the fuel and it'll drop to the bottom of this cup.
It's important to change your filter every year, if not twice a year, as condensation can gather in your tanks over the summer. At some point, that water will phase separate and this will trap it all. There is no need to fill the new fuel filter before installing it, but you should lubricate the gasket with a little fresh oil first. This not only helps it go on smoothly, but it will make it much easier to remove next time.
1/2 turn to 3/4.
You got it.
Start the engine to check for any fuel or oil leaks. We also check the oil pressure gauge to ensure we're getting sufficient pressure. Next up, we drain all of the water from the engine, and here you'll want to reference the service manual for those drain plug locations. Not all engines have the same plugs, and you must remove them all to get all the water out. Once you pull the plugs, it is very important to poke around the holes with a small screwdriver or a punch. If debris from inside the engine blocks the water flow, you might not get it all out.
If you miss one, it could be a $1,500 mistake. Just one.
Any water left inside poses a freezing risk, which can crack a manifold or even a block. Once the engine is drained, you can put the plugs back in. Now, the final 2 steps to winterization, getting the antifreeze in and fogging the engine, can be a bit tricky because you have to do them consecutively while the engine is running. To start, you'll need a set of drive muffs. These are the mechanical clamping kind and provide by far the best seal. You will also need 12 to 15 liters of antifreeze per engine. Simply connect the muffs to the intake on the drive, attach a hose to the antifreeze source, and then run the engine while making sure the antifreeze is being consumed.
When antifreeze goes through the engine, it actually comes out the exhaust. And when you start seeing antifreeze being exhibited out the exhaust, you know that the engine and the manifolds are full at that time.
Fogging the engine helps protect the internal combustion parts by coating them in oil. You just pull the flame arrestor while the engine is running and spray directly down the carburetor until you see smoke coming out the exhaust. As soon as you see the blue smoke, you can turn the key off and you are done. We should note, this fogging process is for carbureted engines only. EFI engines have their own fogging process, which can be found in the service manual.
Definitely, the water is the most important. We've got to get the water out or it'll freeze and split. That's the most expensive part. So if we get that done, the rest is like icing on the cake.